promoted to be a region manager or something else. So the last division manager that I knew that was at that D4 status, there were two of them. One was Mike Muriel, who's now the region manager of the Central region, and the other one was Isaac Tolpin. He was the last DVM to do over $10 million for a year. So it's hard to get to that level because a lot of times, like I said, what happens is you get there and you move on. So as far as how people are in those levels, what they feel is justifiably confident, inspired, and inspiring. They're consistently confident. They're expert. They're autonomous. They're self-assured. They're reliant, self-directed. Challenges. Sometimes they may be asked to take on too much. One of the things that a lot of people have told me, have said to me, it's like, man, I don't even know what Sarah looks like. Never even met her. She's like a ghost. Well, part of it is I don't really ask her to ever do anything. Why don't I ask her? Because I know she's got a full plate. I know she's so driven and focused on raising a family and also at the same time producing at a high level as a CSP and everything else that she's got going on. I don't really ask her. I don't really invite her to come to events just because I know that she's not going to be able to say yes. Sarah and I have an understanding that she's always welcome, but never obligated. Whereas with Anthony, even still, I'll reach out. Hey, do you want to come to this event? Hey, do you want to come give back? Hey, do you want to come to this payoff dinner, this payoff thing? Do you want to come to I invite him to all those things. Part of it's because I know that eventually, once he's married, starts having kids and stuff like that, he's at such a high level that it's not as urgent for him. He's got so many things pulling at his time in the CSP community that to ask him to do stuff here locally is sometimes a lot. But luckily Anthony and I have a fantastic relationship, and it's real easy. Just he sometimes will reach out. Hey, do you have anything coming up you'd like me to speak at? Okay. So self-directed, what they need trust. More than anything, they need trust. When somebody gets that level, they need to know at the end of the day that you've got their back and you care about them for their own sake, not just for your own. Autonomy, opportunities to teach and mentor, and acknowledgement to be valued for their contributions. So, so there's things when you get to this level, you're so good at what you do, sometimes you struggle to be able to teach people. Like, it's funny, sometimes I'll have Anthony give a talk and he'll be at the end, he's like, dude, I don't even know if I gave them what they needed, because there's things that Anthony naturally does when he's working with rep or working with customers that he just kind of takes for granted. And so sometimes in an effort to try to be quote unquote teaching and try to be informative, he goes so off the wall, because what he just does naturally, he takes as just a given. Like, it's a given that you're going to make the set of Cutco seem like it's going to be $6,000 when you're building value through the demo. It's a given that you're going to get excited and get them to say yes on every knife. So for him, he's like, why would I? Like, he doesn't even think to teach that, because he's so in tune to that. That's been so indoctrinated in just his natural state. So it's kind of like when you see, like getting Michael Jordan to teach people how to play basketball. It's going to be tough for somebody. That's why a lot of times the world's best players are not the best coaches, because they're so good at playing. They're so good at teaching people, are so good at doing what they do, that it's hard for them to even explain how they do it to other people. Okay. Unless they've been forced to do it through the whole process and mentoring, which is why a lot of those martial arts work so well, because through the whole teaching of a martial art, you're giving back as you're learning it. Whereas in a lot of other sports, that's not how it's set up. Okay. My question for you is, what stage are you at currently? And how do you help yourself get through that stage? Knowing what you need. I think I would actually ask that you do this with your manager. Share this with them. I'm not asking you to share it with me necessarily. I guess if you're on the pilot, that'd be good. I guess I'm kind of technically still your manager, right? But share, hey, this is where I think I'm at. And let's talk openly about it on a weekly basis. I think it's good to talk about where you are in your growth development. Okay. It's funny because you'll have it where it's like, oh, this week I'm definitely D2. Next week, oh, I'm a D3 now. Oh, no, I'm D2 the next week, right? Like that. I'll hear that a lot, actually. Like the D2 to D3 stage is a tough one, right? Because it keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right? It varies with the wind a lot of times. Okay. All right. Did this help? You like this?
Yeah.
Hopefully provides some perspective for yourself. Helps you learn why we do things certain ways that we do them in our management style. Use this, guys. This is great PDI stuff, right? When somebody's brand new, they need a lot of direction. See, sometimes when you've been successful as a representative and you start managing new reps, you manage them how you want to be managed, which doesn't really work that way. Because if a new rep just started, they need a lot of direction where you just may be like, well, hey, what do you think? What do you want to do this week? And they're like, I don't know. You're like, well, how do you not know? Right? Well, get your mind. They don't know because they don't know. So you gotta start thinking of it like they're a brand new rep. Yeah, which is why sometimes a newer management candidate can help manage new reps better than a more veteran. Just because they're closer to that stage of their development. Okay? Because they've just quote unquote been through it. All right. I want to talk now about conflict resolution because if you notice a lot of the things that people need at various degrees or various points in their kind of development path is communication, right? In every stage, communication becomes very important, right? And so, everybody has taken the CBI index test, right? Okay, the core value index test, right? So just as a quick review / reminder, there's a couple different categories. There's builder, merchant, banker, and innovator. Okay, who in here in this room, by show of hands, was builder their predominant one? Number one. Interesting. Okay, who in here merchant was their predominant one? Also interesting. Who in here innovator was their dominant one? Okay. What about banker? Cool. Okay. So I will say the most common score for vector managers actually is builder merchant. So that seems to be the most common one in the room or in the at the DM table. There's about 6% of people that take the test that flip, meaning that it'll vary depending on when they take it. I would not say go take it multiple times just to see, because the problem is you start trying to take it again, you're now trying to self-select based on what you want to be. It's like if I say the most common one is banker merchant, I bet if a lot of you took it again, you'd be more banker merchant, right? But everybody's different. I was, depending on which time I took it, I'm either builder innovator or merchant innovator. Okay? And it's funny because as you learn more about it, you'll say, oh, I know exactly why he is that way, or I know exactly why he's this way. Almost every single human being that I know says I'm builder, right? Just because I tend to be kind of an aggressive person in general, right? But what are you guys laughing for? That's so funny. All right, but anyway, so but innovator they say is actually pretty standard with me. But yeah, depending on I've taken it. I'm very, very close, by the way, with my builder and my innovator merchant. Like all three are very, very close, very similar. Bankers like next to them, right? And that also is pretty common in the vector world, is that banker tends to be low. Now, here's what's cool though. If you put a high banker, like in my role as a DVM, if somebody is a builder merchant, you put somebody who's a banker innovator and you put them together, that's a very powerful team usually. Because a banker likes to have things be the same consistently, and that helps to support the builder merchants, right? So it does help if you've got somebody on a staff that's a high banker. They tend to kind of be the voice of reason, so to speak, a lot of times. Okay, so so what I want to do is I'm going to pass out some conflict strategy sheets. So take one of these, pass it through. There should be enough, I thought. So take one, pass it back. Do it in the teams again. Tables and then back.
I got 4.
There should be some more pretty, I hope.
Okay. Yeah, I am I'm a merchant maker. Merchant maker, but my merchant is like off the charts. Oh yeah. No, I think it's kind of like a frustrator. So like if you're, I think
We still need some of these.
almost everybody behind us. Yeah, see, I'm trying to give you knowledge. So your option is.
All right. So. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about conflict resolution. Who still needs one, just so I know? Okay. If there's any extras, keep going back.
I don't have such
All right, anybody else still need one? There's some now. Yeah, those are
off the press.
okay. So, so I want to talk about conflict management in general. And what I have found, guys, is that one of the biggest reasons why people tend to kind of get into, fight / conflict, especially in the vector office. Biggest reason why people, go through challenges and, disputes. Have any of you guys ever worked with somebody that you quote unquote just could not get along with? Just because you're different, right? A lot of times it's because your core values aren't aligned, okay? And what it really is that you just don't see things come from their perspective. You don't see how things are because that's just not the way that you're wired. Everybody's wired just a little bit differently, innately, and then their environments tend to kind of shape. Their upbringing tends to shape how they express it, but they're still wired differently at their core. And so some people have completely different ways of looking at things. They have different lenses. And so when you're working in coworkers, you could also do this in relationships, but when you've got a disagreement, here's a couple of simple steps, right? So there's a dispute, there's a disagreement. Okay, you got to get a yes, by the way, from each person involved in the dispute. Each person involved that you're trying to impact. You got to make sure that they're in agreement that they're going to participate in this. Because if they're not willingly going to participate, then it makes it tough to really facilitate conflict resolution the right way. Okay. So if you find like you're just at your quote unquote wit's end with somebody, right? Or you've had your last straw, right? Have you ever felt that way? This is the last straw, right? And then it happens again. You got to get a yes for each person. It's going to happen. The ground rules for conflict resolution. Number one is that when somebody is speaking, you've got to listen. Okay. Interrupting is not allowed, no matter how wrong, inaccurate, stupid, or irritating the statement is that they make. Okay. By the way, wrong, inaccurate, stupid, and irritating are all in parentheses, right? Because that's how you may feel. It doesn't mean that is how it actually is, right? Second rule is that each person is given the opportunity to hear the other person out. It helps if there is a facilitator, by the way. Sometimes you got to try to facilitate it yourself. I've been guilty sometimes, like, hey, if you guys got a problem, work it out. What does work is you've got a trigger person in the organization, a PSM, a district office manager, somebody like that. It helps sometimes for you able to say, hey, if you guys got challenges, I want you to go through, the PSM. I want you to go through the district office manager. I want you to go through the district manager, right? So that somebody can facilitate. Okay. But after each person's done, the facilitator will ask if they have anything more to say before going on to the next person. Whoever's facilitating, number 3, will then take notes on the major points. Okay. And if a participant repeats the complaint, accusation, or point more than twice, okay, the facilitator will acknowledge that that point has been covered and ask the other participant if they heard the point. Okay. So again, if you're in a fight, argument, dispute, whatever you want to call it, after that point's been made twice, like, hey, so what I'm hearing is this is a major deal. Do you understand this is a major deal? Okay, perfect. And then yes or no is either responded back, and then that participant can then move on. Meaning if it keeps coming up, right? Have you ever been in a fight with somebody and they keep saying the same thing?
Yes.
Like, oh, apparently this sits a little close to home for some, right? But yeah, but they keep bringing up that same point over and over again. It's like, okay, you made this point twice. I understand it. I hear it. Let's move on from it. Okay. Then once each person has had the chance to speak, the facilitator is asked to state their dominant and secondary core value and share the most ineffective strategy or tactic which results from their core value. No feedback is allowed on this part.
These are the facilitators.
Once you get through stating your disagreements, right, their grievances, whatever you want to call it, each person then has to state their dominant and secondary core value and to share the most ineffective tactic which results from their core value. No feedback is allowed. Questions for clarity may be allowed so long as it's not leading or accusatory.
What's the ineffective tactic?
Okay, so question. So if you go back to this handout, which if you don't have this core value index key, I do have more up here. You can grab one. It's also online, right? Been emailed out. But so for example, if somebody is a builder, their core value is power. Okay? They like to be in control. They like to have power. They like to have personal energy that is designed to make a positive difference, right? That's something they want to do, right? If somebody is a merchant, right? Some of you guys are high merchant, right? They want to have love. That's their core value is love, right? So nurturing of core value in oneself and also in other people, right? So they want people to, so if somebody's, if you're a merchant dealing with a builder, The merchant will a lot of times want to help support that power that the builder has, right? And also want to, support their own love from there. So if you're a builder merchant, ideally, right? Power is supported by love, right? That's kind of the two big things that you've got there, right? If you're a innovator, wisdom is a big deal there. To see the way things are and know what to do about it, right? You're a high innovator. Whereas a banker, they want to know the how and the why. So if you're dealing with somebody that's high banker, they're going to want to know the processes all the time. Some of you guys, maybe a banker, that means you always want to know like the details of everything. Whereas other people, they don't really care about the details. They want to get to knowing and applying it, right? So the negative, right, to answer your question, is the conflict strategy that you utilize when you're in danger / disagreement, right? So somebody who's a high builder, their conflict strategy, their natural tendency is to intimidate, okay? They'll try to intimidate somebody if they're not getting their way. Somebody who's high merchant will try to manipulate, okay? Try to manipulate somebody if they're not getting their way, right? Or if things aren't good, right? Or if they're in stress mode, or if they're tired, so to speak. They'll try to manipulate. It's like, for example, let's say, husband and wife, husband's a builder, wife's a high merchant, baby starts crying. Right? Everybody's natural reaction, natural instinct when a baby cries is to what? Go help, right? Go help the baby. But then what happens is your core value starts to get in the way of that, right? Maybe you start saying, well, I don't really want to walk the baby. I don't really want to get up and kind of rock it or, walk around with it, get out of bed, all that shit, right? You just like you don't want to, right? Because you're tired, or maybe you worked all day, or maybe you had been taking care of the baby all day, right? So you start kind of getting into your own head a little bit, right? Now, as I kind of say that, some of the merchants are like, why would you not love that child? You should always. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, ready? Here's what happens, though. A merchant, when they're tired, worn out, dragging, they want to manipulate. It's like, well, I love this thing so much. I've loved it all day.
Or I carried it for 9 months.
Right. Or whatever, right? They'll manipulate, right? They'll go to their significant other and say, honey, if you loved me, if you loved the baby, you would go rock it. You would go sit with it, right? Builder would intimidate. I'm fucking tired, right? That's what happens, right?
That poor child is just going to keep crying.
High innovator. All right, so a high innovator, they're going to interrogate. Their conflict strategy is to interrogate. They're going to be like, well, I mean, how tired do you think is the baby really that bad off, right? Is it real? It'll stop crying if you just shut up, right? If you get up every time the baby cries, how are they going to learn?
Yeah, exactly.
So we should just leave it alone. Right? Okay, if you're a high merchant innovator, you're going to manipulate and interrogate. It's like if you really love the baby, you would then just leave it alone so that, all right, then and then banker would just kind of be like aloof, right? A banker would be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I can't do anything because I just don't know. I mean, I have no idea what to do about the baby when it's crying. So, I mean, I'm going to trust your judgment, right? You just kind of pass the decision making is what bankers tend to do, right? When they're in conflict strategy mode, things aren't going their way. It's like, why don't you make a decision? Because I don't know. I don't want to be a decision maker. Okay. Now, again, it depends on where you are too, right? Sometimes you're conditioned to do a certain strategy, and so here's, for example, what happens. So after you repeat all of these, what your in effect strategy is, Once everybody's participated, return to the list of concerns and reduce the concerns to a list of issues that are happening between the two. Right? If there's common things, there's things, list them that they agreed that all major points have been covered. So once you list out all their grievances, you take all your grievances, you add them together. Hey, it's just so that we know, are these all the issues that we're dealing with right now? Is there anything else? Because there's nothing worse than taking a concern individually, because then you never get through all the concerns. And both parties feel like they weren't fully heard. Does that make sense? If you take things as they come up without going through the whole list, you know, and I will tell you guys, this is one of the best things to do when you're trying to help work with a representative. Perhaps it's a representative that's giving up on themselves. It's just simply asking, hey, so what's bothering you? What else? What else? Is that all? Are you sure? Is there anything else? Okay, what else is bothering you? What else have you heard? What else have your parents said? Whatever the case is, you get it all out. It's like, oh, okay, so really that's it? And a lot of times just by the representative going through their one or two concerns that they have about the job, they express this like, yeah, I guess that's it. It's like, oh, well, really, is that, those two things, is that really worth giving up all this? And they're like, probably not. Okay. It's like, yeah, it's hard to get demos, but I like controlling my schedule. I like being off when I want to. I like being able to hang out with my friends when I need to. I like being able to control my income. I like having, and you just kind of go through all the lists. It's like, well, do you like that? It's like, man, these pros way outweigh the cons, which is that you actually have to make phone calls. Right? You know, like that's it. Like that's usually what it breaks down to. I don't like making phone calls. You know, but when you break it down, it really is not that big a deal in comparison to the greater good that you have. Do you like winning a Mexico trip? Oh, you do, but yet you don't like making phone calls. Is it really worth that? Probably so, right? Okay, so you list out everything. After each participant, ask them if they've, after they've gone through and created that list, you ask each person to acknowledge that they've heard the concerns and to state how and to what degree they feel they may be accountable for that concern. Meaning, basically asking yourself, is there anything that you'd be willing to do to improve your relationship with blank? And use names, not him or her, right? But names. If you're the facilitator, is there anything else that you'd be willing to do to improve your relationship with Michael, with Devin? Guys, so as a facilitator, you'll ask, after getting all the list of conditions out, you make sure that you have each person go through and say, hey, I understand this is a concern, and also ask them to what degree they may be accountable for that ongoing concern. For example, let's say that somebody's concerned, if somebody's a high banker, a dirty kitchen will drive them nuts. A dirty office will drive them nuts. Because, what's that? A dirty whiteboard will drive them nuts. And so if you have that as a major concern by going through with everybody else, see, somebody who's got high innovator, I could give two shits about a dirty whiteboard. In fact, I like a dirty whiteboard. A dirty whiteboard to me means that there's activity happening. There's stuff going on, right? Things have happened here, right? Like, you know, usually, you know, the desk of a high innovator, there's like something pulled up on this laptop. There's a couple of projects that are out. There's a calendar out. Like everything is kind of just there, right? You know, like, but see, at the same time, I've also got builder in me too, which means I want everything to be, you know, have a purpose for power, right? So like my desk is either just like crazy or it's completely organized, but there's nothing in between. It's like first and fifth, 2 speeds, 2 gears, stop and go, right? Somebody that's high merchant, you know, will have like a lot of pictures and stuff like that too, right? But there's just, everybody's a little different, right? But you ask them how accountable they are for the ongoing concern they've got, no interruptions, and then asking that question of, hey, is there anything else to be willing to do to improve your relationship with them? Okay. Now, so that's step 6, right? Step 5 is reduce it to a list of concerns. Step 6, go through each concern, ask them to what level or to what degree they feel they're accountable for that concern. And then what you do is you go, step 7 is to repeat steps 5 and 6 until all parties have been heard from and also all concerns have been confronted. Right? List 8, or step 8 is to list any concerns that appear to be unresolved. So if there's anything that seems to be unresolved, meaning perhaps that, you just cannot get through that the kitchen needs to be clean, for example. That just doesn't seem to get through with somebody. Well, you list that out and you adjourn the meeting with action steps requiring that each party think about the appropriate solution and will also consider their willingness to change their behavior to improve the effectiveness of the relationship and get a yes that everybody is going to do that. And then what you do for step 9, you reconvene a few days later and repeat the steps. Okay? Here's the thing. After you reconvene, after you go through those steps 1 through 9 again, if one person is unwilling to reconvene at a later date, if they just quote unquote don't want to meet up again, or if they are openly hostile to be reasonable in the opinion of the other person or the facilitator, right, there are really 3 options that you've got at that point. Number 1 is you separate the people so they don't have to relate to each other on a regular basis. Number 2, termination of one or both parties. Number 3, you ask that one or more participants in the conflict obtain professional coaching or professional counseling. So, or in some cases, that would be the time where it's like, you know what, maybe we should get blank's opinion here, right? And that would be where, let's say, for example, 2 assistant managers within a district team are having disputes. They can't resolve it. The facilitator, being the district manager, still can't see an agreement. It's like, hey, you know what, maybe we should get Trey's opinion on this. Maybe we should go to, like I've done this for, hey, I'm going to go to Scott to get the answer here. I've had it happen where I've had 2 district managers like almost at blows, ready to hit each other, swinging, right? Like, you know what? Take a couple days, reconvene. Things still didn't get better. It's like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get Scott's take on this. Okay? So the conflict resolution, guys, a lot of times happen because people's core values aren't being addressed. And so let me show you some action steps that tend to work well in this case, okay? So if somebody is a builder, okay, you've got your conflict resolution formula. And guys, I will tell you, this is something where high merchants tend to use this as a way to manipulate. They'll use this sheet. It's like they're like looking, right? Right? High builders, right? They like put it in your face. This is what needs to happen, right? You know, innovators, they'll tend to kind of, you know, have it kind of at their where they need it when they need it, right? They'll kind of interrogate, you know, and bankers will kind of pretend like they don't know what they're doing, but then they'll have this like memorized, right? You know, so everybody, you know, so you're still gonna operate from these conflict strategies, right? And that's just what's gonna happen naturally until you start really exploring this. That's what just tends to happen. But if you look at it, let's just, for example, let's take, okay, I think most people here tend to be pretty high merchants, right? So most of you guys are merchants. All right, excellent. All right, so let's just do this one as an example. Okay. So merchant conflict resolution formula. If you're a merchant and you want to build relationships with, let's see. So who was high innovator? Who was high innovator? High builder. Okay. High merchant again. Okay. So most people are high merchant. So we're going to do high merchant, high innovator. That seems to be kind of a very common one. So if you're a merchant and you want to build a better relationship with an innovator is somebody who wants to make assessments, he or she, right? The best way to develop that relationship is to allow that innovator to give an opportunity to provide wisdom. So if you want to build a long-term, better relationship with somebody who's a high innovator, it helps for you to honor their core value, which is that they want to be kind of right. And not right because they're powerful, right because they know the answer. So to build a relationship with an innovator, it always helps to provide them opportunities to be wise, to have, so for example, if you're a merchant and you're wanting to develop a better business relationship with somebody who's a high innovator, find out something that innovator is good at and ask them to teach you how to do whatever it is that they're good at. Innovators love that. Okay, so walk me through how you're so good at playing video games. Somebody's a high innovator, if they love to work out, hey, do you mind showing me how to do this workout? Man, innovators love that. Okay? If you're a merchant and you want to create a vision with an innovator, okay, who wants to really provide solutions, simply ask them to give their solutions. All right? And what will happen is that you'll be eventually able to kind of paint a vision based on that. If you want to inspire an innovator, innovators want to teach, you'll be able to sell your vision to them. And by selling your vision, see, merchants are the vision casters. They're the ones that have kind of the grandiose ideas, right? Whereas innovators want the grand solutions, they want the grandiose vision. Merchants do. If you want to form a team, right, with somebody who's a high innovator, ask them for systems to implement to develop a team. Saying, hey, I'm trying to develop a large organization. Can you help me come up with strategies to do this? And all of a sudden, innovators will come up with things like, well, for example, Drew Frank, right? He's the guy that said, hey, if you get 2.5, take the number of sales reps you have on your newsletter times by 2.5, and that will be what your sales report will be for the week, right? And it's pretty accurate, actually. That's something that is a formula that he came up with, right? That will ask you to do that, right? If you want to talk and listen, right? Merchants love to talk. They love that say, hey, let's just talk. I want to, they'll ask you questions, right? Like, hey, tell me about this, right? Merchants are people that they have trouble with there being silence, right? They struggle with that. If there's silence, it's uncomfortable. So they want to fill it, right? So if you're dealing with somebody who's a high innovator, best way to get them to fill that silence is to ask them to brainstorm. Let's come up with ideas on this. That gets an innovator rolling. Like, hey, let's brainstorm what would be some cool trips. Let's brainstorm on what would be some fun, searches. Let's brainstorm on, and all of a sudden, that gets an innovator rolling. They could work for hours on that, coming up with all the coolest and best, ideas for, taking, like team meeting themes, right? Right? Because an innovator at its core or at her core doesn't really care what the team meeting theme is. They care less, right? But if it's like, hey, let's brainstorm some really fun team meeting ideas. Let's brainstorm some of this. All of a sudden, the fact that it's a brainstorm, an innovator gets fired up about. Okay. If you're hoping to, build, if you want to envision the future with an innovator, who wants to really change and create change processes, best thing to do is to ask for logic that supports your vision or to shift to a different core value strategy. Because, envisioning the future and innovators sometimes have a hard time doing it. Okay. Let's go back to a builder. Some of you guys are high builders. Okay. If you're a builder, okay, and you want to take action, right, with a merchant, which is somebody who wants to build relationships, right, you need to show them love, right? So if you want action taken, you need to let the merchants know that you're loving them, right? That you're acknowledging their ability to honor people's core values. It's like, man, I need your help because, dude, you're the best at making people feel good, right? So, okay, cool, I can help you. Sometimes merchants are just happy to be around, and they have a hard time doing anything. They just like being around, right? Whereas builders, it's like it drives them nuts. There has to be a purpose for being around, right? If you're a builder and you want to, cause necessary changes, right? Sometimes what you got to do there is you got to listen. You got to listen to that merchant. You got to listen to them talk about their experience in order for them to kind of feel heard before you start making any suggestions. Right? If you're dealing with a banker, right? If you want to, get results, for example, with a banker who naturally wants to conserve their resources, you got to operate from a position of being frugal. So, what's cool is, and what we'll do for next time together with this, by the way, is I'm going to ask that you partner up with somebody, and we're going to work on a couple of scenarios with conflict strategies. And I want you to go through and I want you to say, okay, if somebody is this way, here's how I would perceive this. I'm going to give you guys a list of grievances and issues, and I want you guys to share some of those. And what I'm going to ask that you do, guys, is look at your office, not with a critical eye to be negative, but with a critical eye of how would you improve your organization if you wanted it to be the top organization. Right? And so this is not a negative, like, oh, I hate my office or whatever. Not talking about that. Okay, this is, hey, if it was my office tomorrow, what would be different in order to make sure that it was the top, best office, best version of itself? And so be thinking about that. Be thinking about that assignment for next monthly prep. Okay? Because we're going to do this, and I'm going to partner you guys up into groups of probably 4 or 5, and we'll have a couple of facilitators that I'll also determine based on what I see happening over the next several weeks. Okay? So, any questions on any takeaways actually on this conflict resolution strategy?
I just think having a process with all things huge. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It seems pretty accurate too.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you see it with a lot of you see a lot of counselors do this, marriage counselors and performance counselors. Some of you guys are rolling your eyes. You hate counselors. I mean, by the way, guys, counselors are just as screwed up in the head as normal people are, right? I mean, if not more. Never met a single therapist that doesn't have a therapist, right? But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, by the way. Brene Brown is one of the leading experts in vulnerability and shame management. She's got a therapist, and she's the expert on therapy, right? So that's not a bad thing, because sometimes you're your own worst enemy inside your head. But a lot of it can be resolved just by simply doing this first. So, but good. Well, hopefully, guys, if you have this happening within your own organizations, you can do this quickly, by the way, without it having to take, like, sometimes it's a knockdown, drag out. I found if you let things just simmer for a long time, it takes like a knockdown, drag out, lengthy it's a multi-hour process to get this done. Sometimes it's like, look, dude, clearly we're not seeing eye to eye. Here, but there's always like quote unquote non-negotiable / deal breakers. Like, if you cross this line, it's going to be issues. And like, and usually it's deep-seated things that have happened in your past or your childhood that could really cause some massive challenges. For example, in the TV show Suits, right? The most recent example is his cellmate, Mike's cellmate, got he got arrested, was thrown in jail for vehicular, not manslaughter, but he almost killed somebody. He was drunk driving and he hit somebody. They almost died. But the fact is Mike's parents were killed in a drunk driving accident. And so because of that, like, it made it very difficult for them to get past that situation just because of their past. And so sometimes just being open about your past allows people to put 2 and 2 together. If they're not incredibly dense, they hear, okay, this person has issues with this because this has happened in their life. They'll usually try to steer clear of that and not bring that up. Okay. Mullins, can you see if Doug is ready?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to wrap things up tonight with talking about the trip to Mecca, right? The Olean trip, the Olean excursion. It is the highlight of the TLA program, is getting a chance to go see how Cutco is made. Before I bring Doug up though, I want to go over kind of some assignments and some scheduled events with you. So if you've got your calendar, go ahead and pull that out. You guys feel like you learned some stuff today?
Yeah.
Good. I believe we're going to go to slingshot, do a little watching of some football. I think Florida State's playing Mississippi, Ole Miss tonight. There's bowling, there's go-karts, there's American Ninja Warriors. So there's some fun stuff happening. We'll go there together as a crew if you'd like to join. Love to have you. Invitation, not an obligation, but certainly we'd love to get some downtime with you. So here's a couple of upcoming calendar events. First things first. Actually, let me ask you before we even go into that. Would you guys rather eat or would you rather go do like fun stuff? Eat. You guys want to go crush some tacos at Mega Taco? It's authentic Mexican food.
They don't know.
They don't even know what they're missing.
They just don't even know.
They don't even know. All right. Well, we're gonna go eat. It sounds like people are hungry. So I think what we'll do is we'll go grub, and then afterwards, people are still trying to hang. I'm assuming you guys have long drives, so I want to be considerate of that. But anyway, so calendar events. Number 1 is the next monthly divisional prep. Right, is going to be September 24th. So if you got your calendar, pull that bad boy out.
Do you have time now?
Yes, I do. Same bat time, same bat channel. So it's going to be September 24th. Okay. It'll be 10 to 12 for next level. And it'll be 12 to 6:30 for first year team. Okay. So got that happening. By the way, guys, the SLC push starts on September 20th. So September 20th till October 3rd is the SLC push. So every office will be competing against each other nationally.
October 3rd.
So it's a 2-week contest. The reason why that's such a timely event is that happens to be the last 2 weeks of the Charleston payoff. Yep, so it's your last opportunity to step up and win that Charleston trip. As a reminder, for the Charleston trip, it's $8,000, $11,000, and $14,000. Okay, $8,000 in sales, $11,000 sales, $14,000 sales. Every PR you get is $1,000 credit. And it is every PR launch. So if you launched a PR in the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks, I believe it is, that counts as a PR for you, as $1,000 credit for you. Just launched. Yep. Just launched. They don't have to qualify. We'll put that on. We'll put that just on your manager. Your manager needs to get them to sell. So you get them launched, they count. They don't have to sell 500 or 250 or any of that. That is one of the announcements that Jordan made, and we made it at SC3, but it is still there. Now, that does not mean, guys, you just try to launch people without them selling. My advice would be, if you launch somebody and they're struggling, take them field training. It'll help them. Okay? So those are the next 2 critical events. The SLC push, guys. There's only 2 times in the whole summer, or as far as fall, that we ask you to step up and sell. This is one of them, the SLC push, because your managers are competing against all offices. I will say, as a division manager, this is the one time that I actually, quote unquote, care about a trophy. And the reason I care about a trophy is not because it's a trophy, it's just because I know that means that you guys stepped up. And I will say this, guys, if everybody contributes in the division, if everybody steps up and sells $500 a week, that's it. We'll win a trophy. We'll be one of the top divisions in the nation. Okay? This isn't like SC2 where everybody's having to go out and sell 10,000. There will be an SLC push alliance. What that push alliance will consist of is a big Sunday phone jam, a big Wednesday phone jam, and then either a Thursday or Saturday morning phone jam. That's it. We're not talking every morning meeting up. Now, if you're not in school, you may say, you know what, screw that. I'm getting up in the morning, making calls every morning because I care, and I want to dominate, and I want to beat everybody in my management training class, and I want to beat everybody in TLA and have a massive sales push. I would recommend that. If you don't have class to worry about, step up big time for that. Okay? If you do have class to worry about, then do what you can, right? Like I said, if you do $500, everybody does $500, we're going to have an amazing push. Okay? There will be some sort of kicker to be announced. I've got a DVM meeting that's happening the next 3 days in Dallas. So I'm going to meet with the fellow division managers, and there may be a kicker that gets announced for you guys for that. Somehow, some way, I'm not sure exactly. Just know that it'll be exciting, okay? But that's coming up on September 20th. We'll be at the Management Prep on the 24th, okay? Or Leadership Academy on the 24th. The next event after that is October 8th through the 10th. For those that qualified, there's the Mexico trip. There's several of you hit Mexico, so Puerto Vallarta. That's going to be happening. We got, by show of hands, who's going? Who's going to Puerto Vallarta? You got several people there, I know. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time for show, okay? Then Yom Kippur starts on October 11th. Begins at sunset. All right, the next one, October 15th, TLA Prep number 3. Okay. Again, same time. Just so you guys know, this has been kind of a tradition now for the last several years, but that will be a Halloween theme prep. So come dressed in costume. October 15th, come dressed in attire for Halloween. Afterwards, we'll probably have a little Halloween party at my house. Okay? So come dressed in attire for the 15th. Okay? October 22nd, 21st to 23rd is going to be the Charleston payoff. October 21st, 22nd, 23rd will be the Charleston payoff trip. 21st, 22nd, 23rd will be the Charleston payoff trip. Yeah, well, it'll probably be like Friday night, late, to just kind of get there as you can. 22nd, 23rd. Then the Olia push will start on the 27th of October. There's basically a push end of September, push at the end of October. The Olean trip happens on the 12th of November.
And that was when the push was too, right?
And that is when the Olean push ends, is in Olean. Okay. All right, so those are the big key events. We'll still have the local preps on Wednesday. I will get a video out for your managers this upcoming Wednesday so that you have it. The skill that you need to be working on for management is going to be the group interview. Okay. For personal growth purposes, if you want to accelerate your own growth curve, I'm going to recommend that you start reading the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay. Or listen to the audio, that's fine too. How to Win Friends and Influence People, you may have already read it. If you've read it, awesome. Fantastic, just basic building relationships talk. Fits in well with the concept of giving back. It's an easy read, a simple read, or easy listen, right? Dale Carnegie.
Can Charleston print out on the drive?
Should be. Actually, yeah. Yeah, it is. I believe it's on there. If not, I'll get it on there for you so you have it. Okay, so how to win friends and influence people. I'm also going to make sure that that is in the Google Drives, at least in the audio file. I believe I've got it just on audio, the audio book of it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put that in the Leadership Academy thing as well. So. All right. Sweet. So, group interview, how to win friends and influence people. Next level group, you've got kind of your work list that we're going to be working on, talking about, okay, and focusing on there. You've got your personal growth stuff that we talked about that you want to be digging into. As we get into October, guys, we're going to shift from relationship and vocational growth into wellness, fitness, and health to try to work on growing yourself there. So tonight we're going to wrap up with talking about the big trip to Mecca, the Olean trip. It is the highlight of every fall campaign. I know many of you guys have already signed up for the Olean trip. If you've not, highly recommend that you just go ahead and do it, knock it out. Doug's going to talk a little bit about it, but the Olean trip, guys, it is it's one of those things where you don't really understand how amazing it is until after you go. People don't get it. You ask people what their most memorable part is, and actually, who's been to Olean before? A handful of people have. Most memorable experience from Olean there, D?
Visiting factories.
You're going to the factory,
The
just
whole
seeing.
tour, meeting the people. I liked the room with all the mess ups, like people's returned Cutco, different things that have happened to it.
You see how people have butchered the product and how the company took care of it. Like people have sent back entire oven eyes, right? Because they melted it into the oven eye, and they sent back the oven eye, and they gave them a brand new Cutco piece for free, which clearly that was not Cutco's fault. What about you, Urel? Your favorite part?
I think it's part of the fact that everyone worked there since like 40, 50 plus years. Like pretty much their careers, like working, making the knives and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. So so seeing how long they've worked there and the fact they enjoy it and love it, that's always kind of inspiring for sure. What about you, Moans?
Probably after the day at the factory, the kind of the banquet at the end, the lasagna.
Everybody always says the lasagna, man. People love that lasagna. So that's cool. Doug?
Definitely the factory. I'll mention it here in a little bit, but I was like a kid in candy store. Like, it was awesome. I love it.
Sweet. All right, so guys, let's go ahead and have Doug share his trip. This was his first experience, and what I've always loved about Doug is his energy and enthusiasm when it comes to going on really any new endeavor. Maybe it's the builder merchant in him. Maybe it's just the fact that he's a former athlete. Maybe it's the fact that he just has that it factor about him. But his natural, almost childlike enthusiasm for new experiences is always appreciated, and it's a lot of fun. So, I've asked Doug to speak about his trip to Olean and going to the Mecca. So let's go and give him attention as he wraps up the meeting with his trip. So let's give him a hand. All right.
Let me get this PowerPoint up here real quick. You guys, if you guys want to, always like just stand up, do a little stretch here, stretch there right before we get out of here while I do this real quick. Don't go anywhere, just stand up, get your body moving.
Yes. I love it. Have you not seen me sort like every 15 Sure, I don't have to yet.
How many of y'all were?
Okay, yeah, I forgot.
That's cool. We got it.
Oh.
They're so good. You don't even know.
Really?
Yeah, they're so
Lasagna?
No, the tacos.
Oh, the tacos. Yes.
They don't even know.
They don't know.
The lasagna, they also don't know.
Yeah, lasagna is pretty phenomenal too.
They're so good.
All I hear
What?
They had Alfredo.
They do.
That's awesome.
There's one Alfredo, one red sauce.
Let's go Alfredo.
They're both very good. Because I think Alfredo's vegetarian. I think that's why I think it's veggie and then.
All right, so, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. Apologies ahead of time.
No apologies.
Definitely did a different type of I definitely did a different type of theme here, and I guess when I transferred it from the brick, as Trey likes to call it, to the Mac up here, it's not translating as well. So hopefully you can still kind of see it, but it was a little bit better than that. It wasn't all white like that. So I definitely thought about that beforehand. But all right, so I'm going to be talking about my Olean adventure. So what I want to start with is by talking about my mindset beforehand. Now, as you'll see up here, I didn't really understand what it was about or what I was really getting into. I knew it'd be a cool adventure since, I've never been to Olean. First time, pretty sure most of you heard about Olean was when you were in training, and everybody either says it as Olean or Olean or whatever it may be. You never really knew about it, never heard about it beforehand. So I know, well, at least I'll be going somewhere that, is related to my company and that I haven't heard of before. So new place to travel to. But also what was really important was, I know most of you all here, and I don't know, maybe, but most of y'all here haven't been to a corporate headquarters for a company that you worked for before. So that was also something that I was excited about. I get to go to the Mecca, as we like to call it here. We get to go to the place where basically Cutco kind of thrives, and basically what helps us be able to do our jobs, make money, and get this experience, and advance on is everything that happens here in Olean. So I know I was excited about that. I knew it'd be a great experience because I'm going with Vector people. If you ever been to a conference with Vector folks or actual payoff trip, you know exactly what I mean there. We have a good time. So it's like, well, cool. At least I'll be with a lot of cool people. Another thing I thought about was, I know that I heard a lot about the trip from previous attendees. And as you guys probably heard here about 5 times just right before here, the lasagna. That's all I heard, the lasagna this, lasagna that. I don't even like lasagna, so I wasn't excited about it. I was like, stop talking about lasagna. I don't want any lasagna. Stop bringing it up. I don't care about the lasagna. But that is what I heard about every single time somebody mentioned Olean. So I will say it was worth it. But lasagna is pretty good. And then I heard meeting the factory workers was also a lot of fun too, that you got a chance to kind of meet and interact with people that help us do what we do. Okay. So, you know, I was ready to experience it. I was incredibly anxious to see what it was about, and to one day get as excited as some of the people that I saw, you know, talk about it. I wanted to get as excited as them one day. I knew it was for a reason, because it couldn't be a fluke that every single person that told me about Olean was so, you know, amped up about it. It couldn't have been a fluke. It must be a really awesome place. It must be a good experience. So I was excited about it nonetheless. Now, to kind of walk you through my trip a little bit, what I did was I took the MARTA up there. And when I got to the gate, after I got through security and everything, I see everybody from the coastal and the Georgia division. Well, not everybody, but pretty much a lot of the Atlanta area. It was a good, like, I don't know, like 10 or 15 of us there. And I saw a lot of people there that I already knew. So that was already pretty, you know, pretty comforting. It's like, well, I get to see people that I work with day in and day out, or, you know, just over the summer or whatnot. You see people that I worked with. And if you've ever been on a trip with people that you know already, whether it be on a plane or on a bus or something like that, it's always a lot more fun than kind of sitting in your seat to yourself, reading your book, having your headphones in the whole time. Now, granted, the people on the plane might not have liked it too much, because if you can imagine, like, vector people kind of scattered sporadically throughout the plane and talking across to each other and stuff like that. It was a fun trip. Maybe not for everybody else. For us, it was a pretty fun plane ride up there and back. So that was pretty cool. We got off of the plane. You fly into Buffalo, because we don't stay in Olean, because honestly, there's nothing in Olean but the factory and the lasagna. So there's really no point in actually being in Olean. So we stay actually at Niagara Falls, which is pretty awesome. Beautiful hotel. And the falls is obviously a good place to be as well. One of the top wonders of the world. I don't think it's officially one of them, but is it? I was looking it up. I was looking it up. Was it like 8th or?
It's one of the 7 wonders.
It said one of the 7. I looked it up and it said it wasn't. Okay, whatever. One of the 7 wonders of the world. Great place. If you've never been to Viagra, that's something that's pretty cool as well. So when I got there to the hotel, it was basically like SC2, but with all management candidates. Everybody's, you know, all divisions, their top management candidates were there. So, I mean, and said, you've been to, you know, SC2 and or SC1, or been to a conference and seen people around there, but kind of sort of how like we're doing right now, it was a lot of the top people in the company, the people that wanted to grow themselves all in one place. So, you know, you talk about that circle of influence and being around the right types of people. That's one of those things that it kind of automatically clicked in my head. I was like, wow, these are all the top people in the division for this management training class. You kind of look around a little bit like, all right, these might be some of my competition here next year. But it's still, it's a pretty cool, you know, pretty cool sight to see. You also have your top divisional or the top district managers there as well as all your DVMs are there also. So it's pretty cool to see all the people, the top people in our region all there. And when you get there, I remember the first day we have like a little debrief about what we're going to be doing. There's like a little meeting / conference type of deal, if you will, where we'll go over a lot of great management training type of tools. So at this, you talk about like how we talked about here at conference, material based on management training rather than just representative stuff. While a lot of us can benefit from everything that we hear vector-wise, I know where you are right now in TLA, you're going to be benefiting a lot from management talks and the experience there. And this is kind of like a management type of informational for managers, if that makes sense, when they're doing the talks at the conferences. So that was pretty cool. And the second day, we had a nice chunk of that same management training, a little bit in the beginning, but mostly it was a good chunk of free time to yourself. So you got to explore either Niagara, or you got to kind of walk around Canada, if you will. Like Canada's like the border's right there. So if you bring your passport, I definitely would bring my passport. You can walk across to Canada. And if you've never been to Canada, I mean, it's all right. It's pretty cool. No, Canada was nice. They do have it to where you can hang out out there. So that was something cool. I got to go to Canada when I was there as well. So that was pretty cool on the second day. And then the third day, if I remember correctly, was the actual factory trip. That's when we got to go to the factory. It's about a 2-hour bus ride, and you'll either have, you know, people knocked out on the bus, kind of chilling from the night before, kind of catching up on that rest. Some people are like putting in phone orders and stuff like that because of the fact that the push hasn't ended yet. The push actually ends that night where we do the countdown. So people are still putting in their orders and stuff like that. And then you also just have the people that are kind of just looking at the scenery. I was one of those. I was kind of just staring out the window, just seeing what was around me. I'd never been there, never went on the ride up. It was pretty cool. It's a little bit earlier in the morning, tad bit chilly, but it was still cool to kind of look out and see, I guess, the upstate New York scenery there. And once you get to the factory, like everything changes. This is us actually out there, the management training crew from last time. You can see us there. Then we all take a picture at the factory, and excuse me, at the falls as well, over the falls. So that was a management training group from last year. You'll see a lot of your managers as well as some people that you may know throughout the company as well. The factory, I was super pumped the second I got there. There's a nice like little Cutco car, if you will. It's a red car. And it was sweet. So right when I saw that, it's like a car that says Cutco on. I'm like, all right, cool, this is awesome. And then, I mean, I know you see Cutco on like your blue books and other things like that around the office, like obviously the stuff that we have here. But to go in there's this huge building. There's Cutco Vector, or well, not really Vector, but there's Cutco all over. It's the factory. It's something that kind of stands out right when you get there. It's like, man, this is a pretty big deal. And you get excited. And like I said, I was a kid in the candy store when I got to that place. So I got super pumped when I first got there. Right when you walk in the factory, they have people opening the door for you and introducing themselves. And I didn't know who they were at first. And you kind of look at their name tags. These are like administrative people in like corporate Cutco, like welcome you into their factory. It's like welcome you into their home. Just kind of like a demo. When you go see Mrs. Jones, it's that, hey, it's finally nice to meet you type deal, instead of like, who's this kid at my door? You know, it's the finally nice to meet you type thing when you're coming in. So they're excited to see you. You're excited to see them. And they're some of the top people in the company. I remember one of the people I got to shake hands with was Jim Stitt Jr. Yeah, Jr. Right? Yeah, Jim Stitt Jr. is one of the ones that introduced himself right when he came in. He is the president of the company. So that was something that was pretty cool to see Jim Stitt Jr. welcoming people walking in. That was pretty awesome. And you'll sit in a room in the very beginning. They'll give you like kind of like a breakdown of what you're about to do. As a district manager candidate, you'll get to go up and actually meet Jim Stitt Sr., which is the CEO of Cutco, and take a picture with him they give you a plaque with the Cutco car on the bottom to hang up in your office. And the reason why I know that is I actually trained to be a DM last year, and I realized I started to go to school this December, so I'm finishing up my last classes in school, but kind of mentioning that to say that train for the top position here. I know this isn't, with Olin, but train for the top position here because you never know where you'll fall. Training as a DM helped me a lot more in being PSM than trying to train as an assistant manager or something like that when I realized I wasn't going to be able to do that district manager opportunity. So if you don't know if you want a branch or a district, or if you just want to be an AM, regardless, train like a district manager, train like a branch manager, regardless of what it is, so that you can maximize your opportunities wherever you fall here. So I got to take a picture with him. That was pretty cool. And I still have the plaque in my office. Kind of reminds me the ultimate goal and being that district manager. I'm excited to see him again this year. Now, I also remember that the branch and the AM candidates got to go on tour first. And that was really something that I was like a little upset about it, because I wanted to see the factory. I was excited to see what they did and how they did everything, how they made this amazing product that, sells itself, if you will. But you will get your chance to go regardless of who it is. You get to go on tour at the factory and you see everything. When I mean everything, you see everything, like how the steel's created into like the actual knife. You'll see how they put edges on. You'll see somebody actually hand sharpening double D edges and the straight edges right there in front of you while she's talking. There's a lot of different ones, but this one lady was so experienced. She was like literally explaining everything about what she does to us while handling a machine that's going miles and miles per hour, sharpening a knife. Like, I was just thinking, like, what if she like puts it at a different angle and it flies up? She's a super professional. You have to go through a lot of training to do it. But it was something that was cool because you got to see her actually sharpening and putting the edge on the knife by hand. That was something awesome. You'll see sheaths. They were actually kind of hinting to us that they were going to make a Hardy slicer sheath when we went up there. And it was kind of cool to hear them talking about it. And then that summer, it coming out and being available for our customers as well. I got to see the handles. I got to see thermal resin before it was actually like melted and made into a handle. It's pretty cool. I have a picture up here. I'll show you in a few seconds. I got to see Magic Mary. I'm not going to say anything about her. I'll let you know, meet her when you get there. Magic Mary is awesome, or Miracle Mary. one of the two. Miracle Magic Mary, she's great. All right. You'll see the Guarantee Center, kind of like what Adi was talking about, the refurbishing when you're sending products back. You'll see how the blocks are made. You'll also see a lot of the K-bar tools as well. When you go up there, like new K-bar items that, you know, we don't sell, that are just kind of like on the website. They have all that right there. Pretty cool stuff. Now, actually, I think I have, perfect. You see the Hall of Fame when you walk in too. There's a Hall of Fame with all your managers' faces up there. So I saw Trey, but I don't remember taking a picture. But this is oh my gosh, this is Eric Lane. His rep number is literally 1. He was the first Cutco representative there. His picture's on the wall. It's something that's pretty cool. I think Jim sits like 3 or 4, the CEO that you get to meet. So imagine like some of your rep numbers start in 5, right? I think mine starts in a 3. Imagine having 1. He was the first guy to sell Cutco, one of the ones that that merged the company into what it is now. And they actually give you a full description, like a history about the company and how we got started. Really great to tell to your customers as well. And just good stuff to know as an employee for a company, to know the full history of the company. Of the company. This is Ed Reed. I know a lot of you guys probably use his sharpener to do service calls. Pretty cool guy. I saw his picture and I noticed his name. I was like, you know, I'm gonna take a picture of Ed Reed. This guy right here has been in the factory 29 years. If you're from Adrian's office, that's your manager right there, being really intrigued with everything. He's been at the factory 29 years and he was explaining everything to us. I think that's awesome, the tenure that the factory owners have. I think the average tenure is about 35 years for the factory worker there. So they take care of not only their customers with that guarantee, they also take care of the factory workers. I mean, and as we know as representatives, they definitely take care of us on the sales side as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. These are the handles. This is the classic handle. This gets turned into that. It's pretty awesome. It's small plastic and they milled it down and molded into your handle. You get to see exactly how that works there. And I just love this guy, Lauren Horton. Who doesn't? I had to take a picture of Lauren Horton. Lauren Horton would like to know white hair. That's pretty awesome, right? So this is Lauren's picture in the Hall of Fame as well with the company. And I think it's pretty cool. Like just walking around and seeing all the top people in the company. There's really like a wall. Like if you just imagine both these walls just covered in pictures of people that have done really, really well with the company, it just opens your eyes to a lot of different things, a lot of opportunities. And what's cool is a lot of the people in those pictures, like you'll see managers that are still around today that are doing really well, and they just look like a lot younger version of themselves, you know? So it kind of puts you in their shoes. Like you might think of, you know, Larry and Trey and Jeff as just like those people that are just so up here that I don't know if I can ever reach their level, but the pictures in there, they're pretty young. They're close to our ages now when they got inducted into the Hall of Fame and whatnot. So something that's pretty cool to kind of get that, I guess, comparison there with them. All right. And that was pretty cool. Let me see. Perfect. Now they just made these, they have robots to help with productivity as well. And I'm not going to go into depth, but there's robots that do a lot of cool things in the office. I mean, in the factory too. Thought that was pretty cool. This is one of the guys at the block station. Now, all the blocks are made out of like one piece of wood. They don't waste anything. They cut it down like 3 or 4 different ways to make all the blocks. So I thought that was pretty awesome. They showed like the kitchen tools and how everything got put together in that way. There's an engraving center. Right here, they showed you how everything gets engraved, the process behind it, the type of stuff that they engraved before, like examples. You know, they have different things up here. I kind of did a little close up there. And then they were like testing out new prototypes for sheets. They were thinking about doing sewing sheets and things of that nature. So it's just cool seeing all the innovation that was there, as well as the passion that they had in it as, you know, as those factory workers. I have never before gotten a thank you so many times walking throughout that factory as I did that day. I mean, and these are like factory workers like this guy right here. No matter what, when you went up to anybody, they always said, thank you guys, first of all, so much for everything that you do. Without you guys selling Cutco, we wouldn't be able to have jobs here in Obion. I think that is so important that we're able to, I mean, you don't even think about it like that. Like, you know, you're here doing this knife job, whether your friend recommended you to it or you needed a random job for the summer. You're doing this job just kind of to do it, but you don't realize how it's impacting people somewhere else. Olean has about 15,000 people, over 600 work at the factory. So at least 5% of the people in that town work directly for the factory. And you can imagine the economy that builds around the town anyway on a larger scale. So I thought that was really awesome too, being able to kind of connect with them in that way and get those thank yous and understand that even if I sell like one ice cream scoop, that helps somebody else put food on their table because of the fact that they made that ice cream scoop for me. So they're really excited about that, and that's something that's awesome too. This right here, I know you can't see it, but this is like just one department, distribution center, just the people that mail it out. These are the years of service of everybody in that department. 872 years of total service in that one department. So can you imagine the experience that these people have and what they're doing and how well they know the product and how to do their jobs and how hard they work for what we do. Okay, I think that's super important to show, and this definitely helps out with the customers as well. Brings credibility to the company. Talking to your customers about how long people stay at the factory and how well they treat their factory workers. All right. Now dinner is that night. We'll have dinner. It's kind of like a little banquet style dinner, like Michael Mullins was talking about earlier. Pretty cool. I remember Jim Stitt Jr. sat at our table. So you got to sit at a table with either a CEO, a president, CFO, some of the top guys and girls in the company are sitting at the table with you at dinner, just kind of conversing, asking you, hey, how did you get started? What's your story here? Like, president of a company is asking me how I got started with the company. Like some, small sales rep that I didn't even think that, they would even care to know my name, but they do. And that's something that's awesome. It kind of just builds the whole fact that Vector is a part of people just as much as Cutco is. We definitely value the people here as well as the products as well. We'll do the push countdown as well, and the winners will be recognized for that Olean push. Now, it's cool to get recognized at SC2 on stage in front of everybody as well. Imagine getting recognized in front of all the top management candidates. Like, there's no way they can say that they don't know your name there if you win that push, as well as the CEO, the president. A lot of the top people in the company are sitting right there with you, watching you get those trophies and seeing how hard you push for that certain amount of time in that Olean push period. And I think that's important to be able to say that, you've been up there on stage getting recognized while the top people in our region were right there watching you. That's a perfect way to get your name out. So the Olean push is going to be something where the way that they recognize you is awesome in front of everybody there, all the top management people in the region. And I believe this was a little bit earlier, but they also do the January payoff trip announcement as well, which is pretty cool. It's always somewhere tropical. I know last year was Jamaica. They'll do the announcement for where exactly it is, and it kind of just gets you kind of pumped up and amped, and you see exactly where you kind of get pumped up for the for the next. You see where what kind of incentives the company has and like the trips and whatnot. You just kind of get more pumped up in how the company takes care of you for doing your job, if you will. Okay, so they talked about that there. The dinner's pretty cool. Now, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. I remember having white table knives. They didn't have all kind of Cutco stuff, but I definitely remember white table knives being around on all the tables when you were eating dinner. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my friends hate it. I am very, very adamant about not using anything but Cutco. I will have a table knife in my pocket, in my book bag, in the car somewhere. I will have Cutco at some point in time so I don't have to use anything crappy. So that is something that I really enjoyed, that I got to use Cutco right then and there with everybody. And they just value the product as much as I did. And that was something that I thought was pretty cool. Now, the impact that it had on me was the most important part, I think, about the entire trip. Now, first thing it did was it opened up my mind to how big as a company we really are. If you run interviews and build the company up the right way, the interviewees will often say, I didn't realize how big the company was. They have no idea until you go to the factory and actually see everything for itself. It's pretty cool. There's not a million, but there's like hundreds of people walking around, just there to make products for you to sell to customers, to make sure that you still have that job so that you can either pay your way through school or get that experience or whatever it may be. Now, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but our impact that we have directly on the lives of those people in Olean. Like I said, they thanked me so much for being able, for doing what I do so they can be able to do what they do and help feed their families. And you can imagine how easy that was for me to say, like, with them saying to me, without me, like, hey, without you and your sales, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to do what we do. Now, imagine that kind of builds onto the next one, helping with my sales. Imagine how your customers feel when you're able to when you go to that company section, you're able to get super excited about, I actually came back from the factory. It was awesome. I saw how they made this, that, and the third. This is really cool. That is really cool. It gets me really pumped up when I'm able to bring that passion to the customer about the factory and about the company and how awesome it is as a whole, and you know how they take care of their people as well. Imagine building up the fact that the average factory worker is there for 35 years, and that's what I tell my customers. And I remember the first demonstration that I had after coming back from Olean, I believe it was a galley set, if I'm correct. Yeah, I believe it was a galley set. I know it was a sale, and I know it was a set sale. And I just remember her just being so pumped up about my company section. It took a lot longer to explain it because I was just amped. I just kept talking about the factory that I kind of had to stop myself and actually get through the presentation. But that's something that definitely will help out a lot with that product conviction with your customers as well. It builds value, builds credibility, and helps your product conviction also. And I was that much more connected, I guess the last part, with the next level, those next level people in our business. You get a chance to hang out and either tour the factory or kind of mix and mingle with your future competition out there as a branch or a district manager or an assistant manager, whatever, and realize that it's a great type of competition that we have here. It's very friendly, and everybody's always pushing each other to do better. They're always sharing the best practices with each other. I know that's something that Jeff Gamboa really focuses on, is making sure you get those best practices and share them with each other. I was asking Brian Hurlman questions up there. I was talking to a lot of different people and trying to get insight, and they were happy to help you out with everything. And I met a lot of great friends out there that I still talk to this day. They're top managers in our company, and you get a chance to mix and mingle with them there at Olean. So like I said, top managers in the entire region are right there. So it's a really cool chance to meet people that are going to be doing the same thing that you're doing here, create that competition, as well as the factory. It's freaking awesome. I love the factory and getting to deal with all the see all the the products and everything like that. So it had a great impact on me. I definitely say that everybody should, if you're not planning on going to Olean for any other reason, the lasagna was really good. I promise. It was really good. I don't eat lasagna, but I'll go back just for that. But it's honestly a really good trip, something that's going to help you grow professionally, personally, and also it's a really great time. I mean, you have a lot of fun, and you get to meet a lot of great people, network throughout the region, and help yourself be one of those top managers by helping with that product conviction, as well as, like I said, kind of mixing and mingling with the top people as well. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer anything about Olean. I actually have way more pictures than I had up here. I actually had a few more. I had to take some selfies, obviously. That's my picture with Jim Stitt and then the Cutco car, if you will. There's Olean has this thing with squirrels. If you ever notice, like, some places have like a lot of frogs around, or a lot of elephants and stuff like that. Just some places have things like that, turtles and stuff. Jordan had the turtles, yeah. So Olean has squirrels. They have a whole bunch of different squirrels. So this is the Cutco squirrel. His name is Cutter. So I took a picture with Cutter. And then this was just in the Cutco store, where they kind of do a little background information, kind of like some factory history. They have a lot of different things that you can see. Old Cutco before it got before they changed from different handles and stuff like that. And I think the last one, I didn't add on there. There was one more picture there, and I don't know if I can see it, but it's pretty crazy. It was where the I'm gonna show it on Facebook. Mikey took a picture of it. Mikey took a picture of it for me. I don't know if you can see that, probably not, but there's a whole, like, somebody put a pot on their cutting board, and it like literally seeped through. And I'm looking at, like, pointing at this, and they're doing this. They're showing this in the guarantee page. Literally, like, seeped through there, and they still send them one back because of the fact that that's how important the guarantee is to them, and that they want to take care and value their customers. That was the last one I had, but that was something cool too, to see the refurbishing and that. You can kind of see down there, there's kitchen tool set melted into a cutting board. How these people do some of this stuff, who knows? But some of that stuff was cool. Like I said, if you want to see any more pictures, I literally have about 60 or 70 on my laptop of random stuff. I have videos of some of the people in the factory, what they do. So definitely come to me. I will give you all the excitement and the details about Olean. All right. So that's all I got for you. Yeah.
Guys, the Olean trip, as told you, it's November. The dates, official dates of the Olean trip are going to be on November 12th through the 15th. Okay, so it is a Saturday through a Tuesday. We will get you a school letter if you are in school. We've never had any issues of somebody being able to get out of classes for this. Okay, we've had people move tests. We've had people turn in papers early. You can get exempted from finals and papers. We'll get you the instruction material if you need it. It's that meaningful and influential in helping your development here. So you can sign up online directly for it underneath of event info. If you sign up now or this week, guys, the charge is $50 a week. And then as soon as you sell your Only and Homemaker, like I said, it completely reverses all that. So it is always better to sign up earlier than wait on this. Okay, waiting on this is a mistake because if you wait too long, that includes your airfare, your flight, it includes your hotel stay, it includes your meals there. It really includes pretty much everything other than just a little bit of souvenir money for when you want to go to the falls, if you want to do zip lining or do the Maiden in the Mist or go to Canada. Does not include your gambling money if you're going to gamble.
How does the Holy and Homemaker?
I mean, all you do is you just submit a Holy and Homemaker and you forfeit the income that you would make on that order.
Okay.
So that's all it is. So it's kind of like with the conference, you get a Homemaker for going instead of 8 table knives. Okay, so it is one of those things. I would recommend you sell it now versus waiting until the SLC push. If you sell it during the SLC push, just enter it as an order and then do it after the push to count it that way. But it is one of those things, guys. I think I don't know, Doug, if you cover this or not, but I believe you can give up to $300 worth of free stuff too. Yeah, so you can give away a bunch of extra free stuff on it too. So it's one of those things where they buy it straight up, without anything free. Just say, by the way, there's going to be a few extra things coming with you. I'm gonna swing by and pick it up when it comes there, right? And then you can sell that stuff for cash, which basically pays for your trip if you really want to get creative with it. So that's how you do it. Sell Homemaker straight up, ship it to you to give to them with the extra free stuff. Sell the extra free stuff as cash later on to other customers. Okay, so it pays for your trip and then some. All right, well, guys.